The member for Surrey Panorama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is my pleasure today to rise and speak in support of what I know is a very balanced, thoughtful, looking forward and building on the agenda that our government started when we got elected. I also want to acknowledge the amazing work done by our Finance Minister, who has been prudent, who has been focused like a laser to make sure that our investments are in people and providing services that people need, while at the same time growing good-paying jobs right across this province. And I am so proud to be part of a government that is so focused on the economy, but not forgetting the people who actually build that economy. I also, before I actually get into the budget, do want to talk about the kind of a shift we've seen in the province. As I've said many times in here, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, and now I'm a great-grandmother. And it's endless joy that Aaliyah has brought into my life. And then the unfortunate thing for me was that when my grandchildren went to school, because they went to school through the 16 years of cuts, they were the victims of the cuts to public education. They did not enjoy the diversity or depth of public education that my daughter had enjoyed previous to the opposition being elected. They were there, my grandchildren, this is, going to school during the time that the collective agreement was stripped and students' working and learning conditions were just ignored and taken out of collective agreements. And so for me, it is very satisfying to know that my great-granddaughter will be going back into a society and into a system where a government that is more caring, that is more focused on people, is actually at the helm. And it is my great-granddaughter and my granddaughter who will have benefited from the elimination of the MSP premiums, the largest tax cut in BC history. It is my great-granddaughter and my granddaughter who are benefiting from the childcare subsidies. It's because of that my granddaughter is able to hold down a full-time job, because she can get childcare that is reasonable and that is affordable. And it is because of the changes we are making in the area of education, the investments into healthcare, that they will be able to participate and be members in a society where they will not feel the forgotten. They will be the ones who are at the centre when a government makes decisions. And it is with a great deal of pleasure and a kind of satisfaction I look at the things that this government has done in a very, very short time. And some days it seems like a nanosecond. Some days it does seem like a nanosecond. I'm talking about the differences to children who are living in care. I know this was in the previous budget, but I want to remind us of that they no longer have to pay for post-secondary education, because we are taking that responsibility on, because it's the right thing to do. Talking about ESL and talking about grade 12 education being available for those who come into the country or those who were here and did not graduate. That is now available at no cost. And the amount of money that has been invested into post-secondary education, even before this budget, to create spaces for nurses, for doctors, for people who are working on the trades on the Red Seal. And let me not forget getting rid of student loan interest rates. As a teacher, I can remember many a student who could not afford to go to post-secondary. And even those who could stretch themselves and thought they could get a loan, the thought of being burdened under those loans that accumulated was more and more becoming a barrier. And so it is so delightful for me that these changes have taken place. Today, I had goosebumps as I listened to the Minister of Housing, as I listened to her talk about how we have built affordable housing, how people are off the streets, and people for the first time, over 4,000 of them, not a small number, over 4,000 of them are already in safe, secure housing where they are receiving the supports they need. That is the government I'm proud of, and that is the government I know I want for my children and grandchildren, because it's when you get different governments come and go. But, Mr. Speaker, as you know, it's always about making choices. And this government has focused on making sure life is more affordable for the people who live in British Columbia, making sure that governance is for those who live here, and we have made sure that while we're providing services that had been wrenched from them summarily, whether it was education, healthcare, workers' rights, children's rights, all those that were wrenched from them, whether it's addressing those in a very slow, methodical, and systematic way. And I'm so proud of a government that has achieved so much in such a short time. And noting the time, Mr. Speaker, I do reserve my right to come back and finish my speech on the budget, because I have so much to say about what is actually in the budget, and I'm so excited that British Columbians, my grandchildren, my great-granddaughter, have a government that puts them at the centre of the decisions that are made. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, member. You've heard the motion? Yes, excuse me.
I move adjournment of debate.
You've heard the motion. All those in favour? Opposed? Carried. Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, acting for Government House Leader.
I move the House to now adjourn.
You've heard the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carried. This House stands adjourned until 1:30 this afternoon.